everyone. Welcome to Blue Star Rising, Templar Awakening. Michael Henry Dunn here with my good friend, Reverend Maia Nartoomid. Hey there, Maya. How's it going?
Hi, it's going fine. Thank you. Hello,
All
everyone.
right. Well, as usual with Blue Star Rising, we just skim the surface with a lot of superficial stuff. Don't go too deep. I'm being facetious. Um, this is the M-Stra Molecule, the gem star body, and
Pure gem, the pure gem body.
your gem body. Thank you. And this is, well, perhaps I'd best let you share with us what we're about to see, Maya, to give us an overview and a proper sort of grounding and introduction for
Okay.
this material.
Well, of course, these are topics that I have shared with all of you before on one level or another because they're so integrated into all of my work. I consider them at the very core. I don't think you can find anything more core that in my work than the M-Stra molecule and the pure gem body. So I've mentioned it before. We brought it up and talked about it a little bit, but I really was prompted by the Thoth Extreme, by Thoth Intelligence, by the guy himself, that we needed to go a little bit deeper into it to understand it more, just focusing on that and not as part of, some other talk. So what I did was the video I created here that you're going to see in a few minutes. I think it's about 21 minutes long. Promise you won't be boring. I have read from various publications of mine in the past. I'm talking about 1976, 1980, basically there's a few more current little paragraphs and things in there, but mostly it goes way back. And I wanted to bring it all together in a concise form. I know some of you have heard this before or read some of it before, but I don't think you will have read or heard all of it. And it's really good, because it's so, well, I don't want to say deep, but I guess that's the word. It's important to, if you're going to connect to it at all, to go over it, because we're going to be talking about it. So I can't refer to something you might have read 2 weeks ago, So we're going to bring it all in now. You're going to listen to it. And also, Thoth encourages me to read these things because he says that it's a form of transduction. It's a form of transmitting the energies through my voice of what he wants, his presence, his overlighting as I am reading it. And even though I don't read it perfectly, there's that energy involved. So if we go through that first, we have that's transmission, then we can, come back together here, Michael and I, and we can really discuss it, and you'll be able to connect more to what we're talking about because you just heard it. Michael, you're not on.
Right. No, I hear you. Yeah. The beginning of all of our shows in our trailer, we say our theme here on Blue Star Rising is applied sacred science for the global crisis. Just before, as we're going into this, Maya, do you want to touch on just what, special need and awareness is brought forward here, such that it's in keeping with that theme? I mentioned that just because it feels like it will help people focus and relate what they're about to see to to our lives, the reality that we're all going through. Is there something you could touch on in that regard?
Yes. Well, there's a lot that can be said, and we'll say more of it after you watch the video. But briefly, we're talking about the energy system that we exist within. Now, before, we talked about the holographic universe. Well, this is a good next follow-up because we're talking about our bodies now. Not only our energy bodies that we live in, that we dwell in, but how that affects our reality. So do we like the reality we're living on the planet right now? Well, I don't think so, not entirely. It's pretty critical. So how do we change that? We can discuss that more after we've watched the video, but pure gem body, M-Stra Molecule, these are things that are intrinsic to the entire systemic relationship we have with the planet, with our reality, with one another, with the future. All of this is attendant to these bylines. And I, this is from my perspective, from my Thothic view, but from my life's work, since back in the 70s even, this has been the message that I have received from the Thoth intelligence in regard to this. And considering that when I first heard about these things and the molecule, the M-Stra molecule and the pure gem body, I was an innocent. It was the 1970s, guys, and I was a lot younger, and there was no internet. There was no, you ordered books in the mail, or you went to the library, you wrote letters and you sealed them and you stamped them and you mailed them back and forth.
Right, ancient past.
Yeah, you had a phone call now and then, and that was it. So in the environment in which I received this information, I did not even quantize it in my thinking or my field of energy as to the importance of it. I mean, I knew it was important, but I didn't understand how important until I'm now living in the world that I'm living in now. So I don't think I can really say much more until you see it. So
no, that's just what I was hoping you would shed light on. So with that, let's share with you this beautiful and important video from Maia.
Thoth speaks of the pure gem as the future ascended state of the human form. It is a multifaceted light vehicle for the soul. Thoth encourages us not to wait for the future. Since time is a multidimensional vehicle, past and future can be summoned into the now moment. The pure gem is a vibrational melding of etheric wave and human realization, causing a physical reaction. This gem is to manifest in mineral form in the future and will be known as star mist, among other names. I believe here that Thoth is referring to it being manifest in the new Earth star. The whole of the earth and the physical body of mankind will eventually align their molecular atomic rotation to the etheric level of the pure gem. As light is reflected in the prismatic form of a gem, so the sequence of atomic structure will form facets in the genetic structure of man, regulating the diffraction of spiritual energies to encompass the total spectrum of etheric rays. In this new era, beginning with 1976, the Earth has entered a new range of harmony with the prismatic rays. Each gem that is visible to us on Earth is only one layer of prismatic rays of that total gem. To clarify the usage of the word gem in this context, the definition would be any hard natural substance composed of crystals that is designed, whether by nature or synthetically, to reflect prismatic light. We must learn to draw upon the total gem and receive the total 7 layers of each gem. In drawing upon gems, healing and various other phases of spiritual illumination can be activated. Different gems contain different alignments. Spiritual life missions are under the direction of a particular gem's prismatic rays. As the mission elevates towards its purpose, a different gem may be drawn upon. Understand that the physical gem is merely an externalization of a sequence of cosmic law that is actualized in geometric structure in its physical counterpart. One need not possess a physical gem in order to activate the prismatic rays of that gem. All that is required is the spiritual receptivity and higher mind understanding of cosmic law. In the creation of the archetypal pure gem body, so we are forming the blueprint for the individual pure gem vehicle. There will be a triggering of the light molecule for our future pure gem bodies into the outer sheath of the pineal. This is the first stage of the receipt of the holy tone into the angelic recording crystal of the body, found in the pineal. Here Thoth is speaking about an ancient temple complex of Atlantis, which was located in Bimini. In fact, it's still submerged, or parts of it are, in that location. It is a temple complex now submerged and buried at what is now Bimini. The temple complex was known as the Ahura. This holy center was registered through the emerald flame. Au is tongue, Ru is serpent, and Ra is sun, or holy fire. Also in the Atlantean hieromorphi script, antecedent, coming before, or in essence the logos. Thus Ahura could be translated as serpent's tongue of the holy fire, or since a serpent's tongue in Atlantean hieroglyph meant oracle, it could be written oracle of the holy fire. Further, holy fire was represented in Atlantean symbology as a serpent entwined around a multi-jeweled cauldron or container of flame. Thus there is a definite relationship to the jeweled oracle. The inner meaning of jeweled oracle and also the hidden meaning of the serpent-wrapped cauldron is the fire atom at the base of the spine that, once ignited by the more spiritual of raptures, transforms the kundalini into the condition of the pure gem. And now to speak about the M-Stra Molecule, or Metatronic Star-Tect Redemption Apex. This molecule is the divine seed. It is in constant quantum state, so it is not to be found at any one point in the body. It is all places at once and no place specifically. In one state of observation, it is an octahedron, yet within the context of quantum field, it is also hyper-warped. This means that if you could see the energy pattern of it, the M-Stra would appear as a sphere that is stretched out on one side like a comet with a tail, but the tail is twisted into a helix. This helix is being twisted two directions at once, creating a flashing dynamic between multiple dimensions. It is not just flashing in and out of two separate dimensions. It is flashing to 0 point and back again. And this 0 point is the null zone from which all dimensions are accessible. The molecule of the M-Stra is a membrane composed of N-state non-atomic substance. It is the purest of ethereal-based crystal. It is so sensitive to all dimensional fields that it lives constantly in all of them. It is continuously redefining its spatial integrity. Now imagine that this molecule, which as a whole is the essence of what you understand as divine, as defining the entire system which it occupies, in the context of this topic being the human organism. The question which may loom for you is, if the human organism occupies a state of divinity, which is thus by default immortal, then why does it become diseased, decay, and die? The organism is designed to function perfectly and eternally. Disease, decay, and death come from a breakdown in communication between the medium occupying the body and the body itself. The incarnated intelligence in the body, designated by the soul, is not fully attentive to the God channel, as we shall call it. This is due to the fact that the imprint in the DNA which allows communication between all systems instantly, which we call the inscription of light, was disengaged intentionally by the souls incarnating on earth in its first stages of creation. Their purpose was to establish a new universal continuum using the node upon which earth is placed as the starting point for that process. We do not go further into this story here, but return to the topic at hand. The human body is not receiving the full spectrum program from the God channel. Yet to realign to the full spectrum of this channel is something that can be instantly achieved by redirecting the signal back to the M-Stra, sending to the M-Stra molecule the light code language it is waiting to receive from the DNA. The Earth presently contains a cap on its frequency. This is placed by the lunar solar magnetic shells of the planet and determined by the evolutionary stage of this solar system. Thus, when a being within the fields of the Earth is able to receive the full spectrum program from the God channel, it is received within the full spectrum of the Earth's allowed frequency capacity. Even with this limitation, one may inhabit a body that can be continually renewed to live for thousands of years in perfect health. There are foods, elixirs, energy capacitors, devices, and techniques which can place one into the M-transfer zone. M-transfer being the path through which the human being, all aspects of that being from physical to non-physical, freely transfers DNA information in full spectrum light language to the M-Stra molecule. The molecule in turn answers and redirects the consciousness of the body intelligence to its path. It is likened to two whales many miles apart communing by sending signals of vibration through the great body of the ocean currents. Now I ask Thoth the question, there is entropy all around us, not just the human body, even in the cosmos. How does this fit into the picture you have presented to us here? And Thoth replies, all around you, the living creatures, the whole dynamism of the planet you dwell upon, and the cosmos about you, all this you interact with, view, and study from the position of the orotron or half-light spectrum. In the complete Metatron or full light spectrum, it would exist for you quite differently. There would be no entropy. The ants at your feet would glow with immortal beauty. The question, is the M-Stra molecule within all living things? Thoth replies, it is. However, it varies in type depending on species. That is, there is a differing defining register within each species. Question, when the Earth ascends into the new Earth star in what you are calling the World System 2 operational system, will the cap on planetary frequency be removed? And Thoth responds, it will. The new Earth star will be, and indeed from the perspective of nonlinear time is, in a metatronic full spectrum state of existence. The next question, what is the main difference between scalar energy and what you are calling the Ein Sof Aether? Thoth responds, scalar energy is energy. The Ein Sof Ether, or Aether, is not. It simply is. It is the intelligent godness. The M-Stra molecule is what you might call a control panel in matter to communicate it through all matter as a signal, for the Ein Sof Aether itself is not a waveform. And here's another definition from Thoth of the M-Stra, just worded differently, but gives a slightly more dimensional picture. The molecule of light that is being sent through the metatronic spiral, built as a house of light, from the miracles of light to become an etheric molecule in the DNA-RNA helix of humanity. This is the molecule of the Christ body within us, being brought into manifestation within our matter body. The geometric for the M-Stra is a double octahedron, a single octahedron, or in one dimension a diamond shape, is the image vector for the Ennead. Within the doubling of the octahedron, two octahedrons touching at one of their apexes, a centrifying axis is created at the juncture, this being the actual seed dynamic of the molecule, the grail of the body's questing for light communion. It is at the center of the M-Stra that the consummation of light and matter abides. It is from the M-Stra that we will come to build our lighted house, through the light molecule's infusion into our blood via the, what Thoth is calling the Deborah Holarian. This is in reference to a particular type of transfer. I'm not going to go into it here. From this transformation will arise the sapphire, S-A-F-F-I-R-E, the sapphire blood of angels within the daughters of men. In 1990, Thoth speaks about a lost book, the Zorchim Oktoba, or the Book of the Zarathustrian Lords. Before I read this, however, he's speaking of race spirits and new races. This is not a connotation of how we understand races. People of different skin colors and shapes and sizes and things like that. This is on a higher dimensional level, and it does not exclude people of different, what we call races, on the surface Earth. This is another form of understanding the term race. So that said, here is what he gave me. In the Book of Zarathustrian Lords is written the names of the 5 race spirits who have yet to manifest their streaming upon the earth. From these race spirits shall come the new races, bringing the genetic fourfold helixes into the earth domain. Since the time of the fall, mankind contains only a twofold helix, which stays him from the receipt of the complete being. Through the metatronic spiral, the light molecule, the M-Stra begins this process of receipt. Once accomplished, the 5 race spirits, or the archai, will come into the evolutionary field of Earth's manifesting plane. These archai are also the first race spirits, only they return as higher evolutions of their former revealed to Earth natures. Thus they are the meta-archai. The meta-archai causes the asterisms, cohesion of the light molecule. To quote from the Book of Zarathustrian Lords, the alphabet, the meta-archai, stretch out their fineness of silks and spin the mudra of totality. From the seed light they gather all the threads into one shining element, bared to the forge of the sun, bathed in the pearls of the moon. Lo, the scroll of golden beams is written with the quills of their burnishing might and set into the living pulse of the mother realm. End of quotes. Understanding the nature of the light molecule embroiders its pattern of passage upon the heart of the initiate. This understanding becomes an embodiment of spiritual knowing, a nation of consciousness which acts as one entity of will. In this contemplation, spiritual consciousness become guardian spirits of a high order, emanating from individual spiritualized egos who gather as signs of one shining element to form what the Zarathustrian book calls genius. And the genius of each nation shall come from the center of the planet, visiting unto the tribal lords, who shall then become their genius and take upon themselves the tribulum or grail, the cup of the molten sea. This they shall consume into their flesh and burn away that which is forsaken of spirit, receding into their heart the inscription in the fire. Unquote. This passage foretells the effect of the light molecule upon the tribal lords, those persons in power upon the planet who will be ready to accept the initiation of the Grail, the incorporation of the light molecule into the body, by becoming their genius. The genius comes from the center of the planet, for it is a part of the natural world. It is the corporate body of spiritualized egos who have gathered their signs from the Holy of Holies at the center of the earth, the world's creative matrix. As a genius is formed, so it offers its being to an incarnated tribal lord. And thus this spiritualized ego-created being can become a human being through a human who is ready to receive the genius consciousness. From the Zarathustrian book, take him, the genius, into your heart, for there lodges an eternal angel to bless and receive him in your name. In the Book of Zarathustrian Lords, the genius is the single most important vehicle in the completion of victory over evil, for an incarnated soul who has received his/her genius is the one form of being who can utterly destroy the beast. When the M-Stra molecule reaches its full metatronic access within the human form once again, the atomic rotation will slow so that the M-Stra can nova within the cellular system, creating the pure gem metaform. This will free humankind from the karmic field entirely.
All right, welcome back. Well, I want to say something right away about this, which is that usually on Blue Star Rising, when Maia shares one of her beautiful revelatory videos, we go over it. A lot of it is, of course, self-explanatory within the video and contains information that we can pull out and explore. And this video, in my response to it, is that it is so rich and sacred and deep and essential and contains so much specificity of sacred science, so many terms that might be challenging to absorb the concepts of all at once, that my sense is, and just, I'd be really glad to hear your response to this, Maia, is that more so than perhaps any other videos you have shared with us, this one is meant for certain folks, certain souls, and for others, they may view it and feel, my goodness, that was intense, that's deep. I know from Maya's other material that this is important, and yet it goes, and I'm lost about 3 minutes in. Too many terms I've never heard, too many depths of profundities that I can't get my brain to dive down. And I started to go there a little bit myself. And then I'm taking the notes, and every 30, 40 seconds or so, you would say something so powerfully activating that I would just have to say, okay, let me write this phrase down, and I'll meditate on it, dwell on it, explore it later. So those of you watching, I really want to encourage you to watch this video again and again and again if you are drawn to it, because I perceive that there are depths here, some of which will just wash over you vibrationally, some of which will eventually integrate as concepts that you can reconcile with what you know of quantum physics and your own spiritual experience, and some of which you will simply, as I'm doing right now, say to yourself, okay, well, maybe as my, pure gem body activates, I'll get this later. That's kind of where it's at for me. I mean, some of the phrases that came out for me, that the M-Stra molecule is the grail of the body's questing for light communion. I mean, just that phrase alone is so eloquent and powerful, and evokes, it just evokes archetypal energies of such compelling strength that you just, you have to go, whoa, okay, let me just sit with that. In the context of the science that you share, it's not just a pretty phrase, it's amplified and explicated and laid out by the scientific specificity that you go into. And I'm not a quantum physicist, and yet my understanding is sufficient, I think, to grasp the power of what's being shared here. That another phrase that leapt out at me, that essentially as the M-Stra molecule, which is nothing less than the omnipresent, untraceable divinity within the human being, that if we realign with, correct me if I'm not getting this right, is about the lifting of the entire lifting of the karmic field from humanity. I mean, that's about as big a question as it's possible to pose. As our good friend Alan Green, the master of cryptography and anagrams, says to me, when he's sharing with me one of his discoveries that's particularly mind-blowingly deep or shockingly revelatory. We'll go into anagram talk, and he'll just say, Michael, you need to know that this is jib. This is really jib. Which, for those clever code breakers of you out there, is an anagram for big. This is really big. So this is jib, folks. Take it from me. What?
It sounds like a Navy jargon, something.
Oh, yeah. So raise the jib and the topsail and get the mainmast off of the forecastle and God knows what else. Yeah. So, yeah, it's jib, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking really jib. So let's see what else. I mean, take him into your heart, for there lies an eternal angel. And these are some of the other phrases that just struck me so powerfully. And our dear friend Edie, I can tell, will be particularly moved by this because of the depth that you go into regarding the planetary genius, um, which comes from the center of Gaia. It is the world's creative matrix, and it's highly personal and beautiful, and it sounds like, oh, some highfalutin sacred science concept. It's the very thought and essence and power of beauty and joy and love and divine romance that lights up our hearts and makes a life worth living. That's what we're talking about here, folks. So this isn't just high, dry, incomprehensible sacred science. This is the stuff of life. And so I certainly intend to view this video over and over, and absorb as much of it as I can. So that's just my initial response. Maya, if that prompts anything from you, I'd love to hear
Yeah.
your thoughts.
Several things off the top of my head. One about the karma, the lifting of the karma. This is the lifting of the karma in our planet, in our realm, in our universe, in our holographic field. It's the lifting of the karma here. That's not indicating that we become gods, so to speak. It means that all the weight, all the baggage we have collected here we're defragged. We defrag this field. Now, when we move into the new Earth star, we're still in a learning process. We're still in an evolving process. But the difference is that what we call karma here, the learning process on that level is not karmic. Doesn't mean that we don't have any challenges, but the challenges are so unique to the world system 2 environment, beingness that the new Earth star will be. We can't even equate to that. But if we were to try, we would go, if that's it, that's not karma. That's nothing. Compared to our reality and the way we perceive the challenges, because in that level of the new Earth, it's such a communicative process, and it's instant learning, instant understanding. Oh, missed the mark. Oh, I see where we're going. Oh, missed the mark. Oh, I see where we're going. Instead of going 16 lifetimes later. I get it.
Yeah.
It's not the same kind of field, because there's an instant quantum expression. It's a quantumized field that is completely directly connected to our beingness.
Yeah.
So there's still challenges, there's still things to learn, but you got it all there instead of searching through the mire for it for lifetimes.
It reminds me of an old American folk song I learned as a kid about 16 tons.
Yeah.
That's what karma feels like. It's like 16 tons. What do you get? You're another day older and you're deeper in debt. St. Peter, don't you call me, 'cause I can go. I owe my soul to the company store. I mean, that's kind of what it feels like down here with the karma cloud. And well, not to worry. Even you get a high sacred technique, like for example, the Kriya Yoga taught by Paramahansa Yogananda, and accelerates your spiritual evolution, and your karma is locked in the astral spine, interacts with the zodiac and your circumstances to purify, and you're accelerating, and it's all good and you're great. So it says, so in the good news, 3 more lifetimes at most, just 3 more lifetimes and you will be free. Going, oh wow, great. That's what I love about that is that it's realistic within, it's not, oh, just chant 18 hours a day and adore me and you're home free. I mean, that is a path. I'm not knocking devotional chanting. Believe me, it's a part of my heart. But the idea that there is some potential breakthrough in the field for all of us that will lift on a planetary level a sort of burdensome layer that allows us to learn our own lessons, learn, what's in the field for us in I don't know, just some kind of liberated vibration. Would that be an apt
Yes,
phrase?
yes, indeed. And talking about what it's going to do for us now, here and now, there's so many levels to opening your field to the M-Stra Aka, all M-Stra Pure Gem concept and genius. It's really a threesome. I didn't include genius in the title because we don't go into it quite as much, but really the foundation for the work that I received through thus far has been the M-Stra Molecule, the Pure Gem body, and the planetary and personal genius. It's a threesome. You can't go to the party without all three, And so all of these things are very personal. They're very oriented to the individual. Even though obviously in the greater picture all is one, we are uh, exploring, we are developing, and we are challenged by the connections we make to those three principles. Now, what can I say? We can't find these in those terms in any, as far as I know, any ancient esoteric teachings that are knowledgeable to us at this time. Maybe they are hidden in there somewhere, another language, another way of putting it. I don't know. I'm always challenged myself by so much of what I receive seems to be unique. It doesn't seem to have a bearing on anything that anybody's brought through before. However, that's beginning to change, in all these years, because some of the science, now they're coming up with stuff that I wrote about in 75 or 76 way back then. I could qualify that. I didn't write the kind of depth and scope and numbers and science that people are doing now. I just mean the concept, So
Well,
that's good. But some of the other stuff, it's like, I can't say that, it's come from anywhere. So I don't know. I'm just telling you what I received. That's all I can
well,
tell.
I would like to point out for our viewers that a fair amount of stuff that is coming out now is in common parlance in the ascension world, what I refer to as the ascensionistas out there online. Curiously enough, if you trace it back, some of these concepts and words and names were first articulated by you, Reverend Maia Nartoomid, like several decades ago, some of this, and it gets passed around into common parlance because it resonates with what's going on. Now, I know that, like any sincere servant, you know that you are not the doer, and you know that you are receiving something from a very high stream, and that it's not like, well, I came up with this, and I can, that it's non nobis domine, as the Templars say, not unto us, O Lord. But it's just worth mentioning because it is, I mean, you said, I mean, it's really sweet where you have said in the past, in the last few months, like, oh, I've found this wonderful website, and gosh, that the things they're saying are just so in tune with what I've been sharing, and it's just so exciting to find somebody else who's like receiving the same kind of material. And gosh, then a day or so goes by, it goes, gosh, it's really similar. It's like verbatim similar. And then you do a little Google search, and it turns out it's blatant plagiarism. It is your material. So, that's going on out there as well. And, it's all good. In the end, it just means that it's getting around, it's in the field, it's doing the work it was meant to do. So, it's not about going around trying to get back royalties on divine concepts.
The only thing that troubles me about it is when they tend to take it and they, first of all, claim it for their own, or by inference, if nothing else, and then they add to it, and what they add to it is not what I would add to it.
Yeah, that's but okay.
We're
Could
not going
it
to go
be,
there, but,
yeah, disinformation? I mean, there's any number of reasons why that might happen, where somebody else wants to take something powerful, add their own twist to it, and okay, now I branded it as mine. It's not entirely plagiarism
but
because it's a Campbell soup can, but I put, Andy Warhol's name on it. So it's now art.
yeah, well,
You know?
it Phil told me years ago, many years ago, back in San Antonio, when I had my first real experience with that, because there was no internet then, and somebody was just raving about this particular chapter in a book that was a compilation of many authors, on one subject. I'm not going to tell you the name of the book and everything, but anyway, it's had some traction. And they were talking, and I heard them talking. I thought, wow, that sounds like it's really a line of my work, And I went and got the chapter, and I started reading and reading and reading. 33 pages, plagiarized almost to the word. A word changed here and there from my material. And I looked at the name, and I went back in my files. This fellow had ordered from me all of those back issues of my stuff. And he was
That's
getting
bad karma. I'm
yeah, yeah.
sorry.
It
That
was.
is
So
bad karma.
and I said, what do I do about this? And he said, well, first I did write the person that compiled it all. And they said, tough luck, basically. I mean, so many words. So I went back to stuff, and he said, this is going to happen. You just have to do what you do and let the
Yeah.
chips fall where they may. As long as you stay in integrity, that's what matters, So ever since, that's where I've been with it.
Right. On the other hand, it's an indication of the power of what's coming through, because imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. I suppose you could say plagiarism is the sincerest form of criminal flattery,
Right.
because it really is stealing. Bottom line, it's just stealing. So
So we'll put that aside now. Let's get back to the
right, we just
molecule.
warn you all. And the other thing about it is, I mean, this channel, Blue Star Rising, this is actually the remedy, the response, the correct thing for you to do, so that the work, the material is being distributed and spread and shared, directly,
Mhm.
and not through various bastardized, distorted, as a lover of Shakespeare, I'm reminded of, the first folio, where in the beginning they say, whereas before you were abused with, spurious and, polluted copies, now you have, from the true source, right? So we're getting the authorial, as we say in Shakespeare, the authorial copy.
Yeah, yeah. So
So,
what I wanted to say at this point is, before I forget it, and that is that both the videos that are going to be shown in its inserts in this program today, the one you've already seen, a little short one at the end, both of these are standalones, and there will be links to them below this video. So if you want to rewatch either one of them, because they're both that kind of thing, you don't have to go through this whole show or whatever, you just can click on those if you want and just watch them.
okay, so I just want to say again to everybody that this video is well worth watching repeatedly, pausing, absorbing, and I would like to ask Maia, if anything comes through in this moment, as we're encouraging people to absorb this material. Is there some actual practical step or practice or path or um, way of taking these realizations in this sacred science and activating in a dynamic way one's own greater attunement with, when you say, oh, you're attunement with the M-Stra molecule within, well, the M-Stra molecule, you sort of are it. It's, it's permeated throughout us. Is there anything that comes through for you in this moment where we might take this profound um, message and then say, okay, now you have been given this, and here's, beyond the integration of it, how you can work with it?
Yeah. Well, first of all, let's look at the physical level, because it does address that. It addresses the energy system, and it says certain devices and, and sub things can help your body become more attuned to that frequency, because it is in the body. We're talking about body, pure gem body, M-Stra Molecule. We're not talking about things up here, although their connections are quantumized. It's in the form. And someone asked a question about this who had been reading some of the material that I just quoted of mine. And what can they take? Is there a certain vitamins or whatever you can do there? And I said I would address it in this video. I can address it quite simply, because I'm not going to recommend, products, because I really don't know. Well, I do one or two things, but first, let's just say this. Anything that works with light, energy, frequency, light, frequency, and sound. Of course, all of those are related. Light therapy, sound therapy, frequencies that enter the body. Of course, you have to do your due diligence to find the right ones, or ones that are really, true, and not somebody's shyster stuff they're just, promoting overnight on the webpage. So you have to find the right kind, but that's just something that's a no-brainer. You just look at it, you do your due diligence and find something you feel that really has a solid basis. But if it's light, if it's sound, if it's some kind of energy that enters the body to help, adjust the body, the frequencies therein, these are very, very potent ways to get started, because you have to start in the body with these things. If you don't have, you don't have to have perfect health, thank God, because I sure don't. But you do have to have a certain amount of energy frequency in the body that is operating properly, and can key in, can tune in to that harmonic. Now, I happen to have a Beamer system, which is, gosh, $6,000. And the only reason I have it is because some money was donated to me, and I was able to get this because Thoth really wanted me to have this system. So I'm just telling you about it. Those of you who have extra $6,000 you can chip away. You lie on it, and the energy frequencies, help the whole system, the capillaries, and you can Google it, but it's overseas, it's impressive, and it has, I don't know, zillion double-blind studies on it, and it's really something else. Now I lie on this every night and I do the work. It didn't heal me. I still have chronic fatigue syndrome and stuff, but there's no question but that it changed my circulation. It changed a lot of other problems I have in my body. It's not the end all. But right now, what I'm addressing is the frequency itself to help you connect to the M-Stra molecule. Now, we're looking at the pure gem body and M-Stra molecule. There's the connection to that frequency that's not necessarily going to make you healthier, not at first. It's a direct connection to a higher frequency that comes into the body. Now, the more you connect to it, the more likely you're going to be to have better health. But better health has to do with a whole holistic system. There are saints and sages that could, float around in the room, that could, translate the body and do this and that, and they were sickly as they could be, and they died young. So it's not necessarily that the two go together. There are other things you need to do to, augment that if you're looking to have a healthier body. But connecting to the frequency of the M-Stra molecule and the genius, the pure gem, all of that is essential for your energy system, your beingness, to be able to be a metatronic presence. It's going to help you in many ways, and most especially on a soul level, that when you leave this mortal coil and you have, you return through incarnation or whatever, it's brought you into a whole new reference of vibrational essence for your incarnating process. See, it's so beyond just the immediate, and yet it encompasses the immediate, because once you accept that frequency, then you intuitively, you have an intelligence about what other things to bring into your life to complete the process of having a healthy and long life. So, it's all interconnected, but it's essential that we work with these frequencies. You can call them anything you want. You don't have to call them M-Stras and whatever. These are terms that Thoth has given me. But it is the essential basis for not only living a good life now, but being a part of the conscious creation of the planetary realm. And that is more important than how long you live, how great you look, and how good you feel. I know those are important things. I'm not marginalizing them, but I'm just saying that that is the biggest picture.
Yeah. Well, when you talk about the practices one can undertake to, on a level of frequency, of light, of sound, like, for example, here in Colorado, in the San Luis Valley, where we both are, a couple miles apart at this moment, it's interesting to me how more people are being drawn here who practice these paths, who, for example, sound healers. It's, I know of 2 devoted teachers and practitioners of sound healing who have just moved here. Others, suddenly they're, it's not as if, Crestone in this area, it's an interfaith center. There are, ashrams and monasteries and stupas, and it's an extraordinary spiritual center already. But, for myself, I ask myself, okay, big shot, you with the, Blue Star Rising channel, what are you doing now? And I'm particularly struck by this phrase from the video, that as we practice these frequency enhancing modes of activating the M-Stra molecule within ourselves, that we did a whole program on the light appearing in human blood, the light crystals showing up on slides, that doctors and specialists are going, why are there these light crystals in your blood? I've never seen anything like this. What is this? That in terms of, the pure gem body beginning to actually manifest, that when I think of how I feel when, I've led sacred chanting and meditation, and, you can, if I happen to pass a mirror, my whole being is suffused with light and youthfulness in a way that is striking. And this phrase that you said, it is essentially awakening the blood of angels within the daughters of men. That's a very powerful description. Would you care to comment on that in terms of the light crystals we're seeing in blood? Is this related?
Yes, oh, definitely. That is the building of the pure gem body. And the fact that so many people now, well, I can only say from the perspective of this one local person, homeopathic, and he does a lot of things, so I don't know exactly what to call him. And he doesn't want his name mentioned, so I won't. But, and he brings in the blood from all over the planet. I don't know how they do this. He must put it in some kind of container or whatever. But anyway, it gets to him. And at first, back a few years ago, he was just noticing it in Bill's Synergy group here, because I hadn't returned yet. and they were doing the synergy and doing the work with a lot of it from Thoth's material and what they created on their own, of course. And so Bill and others from the group were coming in and having their blood checked, and he was going, wow, look at this. You know, I've never seen this before. He said he'd seen it in one other person on the planet from all the blood that he brought in, you know. And then, but as years passed, because that was about 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 years ago, as years passed, more and more people, the blood that they were sending in or coming, you know, there it was. And it was developing. It wasn't the simple, kind of like crop circles. You know, at first they were just real simple, and then they got more and more and more. It's like little crop circle blood, you know, crystals in the blood. So they started advancing and developing. And now the ones you see in the blood are much more advanced than the ones in the original blood samples. And more people are sending them in with this. But the interesting thing is, well, there's a lot of interesting things about it, but one thing is, most physicians don't even know this because they don't look at live blood. They say that live blood, no, that's not where you go. You got to look at dead blood. Now, does that make sense to you or what? So they will not. If you told them that someone's looking at live, they say live blood. No. No wonder you're seeing crazy things. No. You got to look at dead blood. So when you go to a regular doctor to find out if you have tuberculosis or something, they're looking at dead blood, and they can get a certain amount of information from that. But it's like, it doesn't make any sense at all to me, you know? So
okay, explain to me, because I don't actually know the difference. I mean, how do you look at live blood except outside the body?
Well, okay, let me see. I'm not a doctor, okay, and I'm not this fellow that does this, but the minute you take the blood, if you look at it in the microscope, it's still living, but it starts to die, right? Well, then he also goes and he takes, how does he do that? I'm out of my league here, but he also looks at dead blood. So he will look at dead blood and tell you certain information that you can get only if it's dead. I'm calling it dead, but it's not moving. You know, and then, but in the live blood, he can give you other information that you couldn't get in the other. But Michael, you know, I'm out of my league here. I can't tell you how that works exactly.
Okay, so it's just analyzed much more quickly upon the drawing of the blood?
Right. And then he lets it sit a little, like not long, and then it becomes, you know, it doesn't look too good. And
right, it's coagulating.
Yeah, right. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay. Well, all right. You know, it struck me as I was looking at this and, you know, looking at our discussion here, that this might actually end up being a somewhat shorter program today because of the depth and profundity of the material, which sounds a little paradoxical, but again, I just want to encourage everyone to, if you feel drawn to it, if certain parts of it sparked you, to find time to view again and tune in. And when I think about, all right, what do we do with this as you're describing, you know, frequency and vibration and enhancement of, you know, light healing and sound healing. And a lot of what all of us are doing out there, I think this might be just encouraging on a quantum science level for all of us who have been working for years to, you know, accelerate our spiritual evolution, become better human beings, be, you know, kinder, more loving, compassionate, gain in wisdom and humility, and to awaken our souls, to realize that we are doing it. We have been doing it. The fact that we've been drawn here, are absorbed this information at this time, you know, for myself, and I look at, okay, I consider myself really a long way from where I thought I could be or wanted to be at. I've spent years, many, meditating and practicing affirmations and chanting and watching my thoughts as best I can, doing my best to um, absorb high vibrational material in terms of music and books and film, being careful with my words, how the vibration within the words you use, the vibration within the words that we allow ourselves to hear. Um, it's funny, I noticed a little physical tick that I have. I don't mean a tick, blood sucking tick. I mean, a little quirky habit that they call, which is if I hear something of a lower vibration, somebody uses some vulgar or foul language around me, or says something hateful or blatantly untrue. A friend pointed this out to me. It's like I hear the thing and then I go, I'm literally trying to heal my ear of the thing that just when I'm trying to like pull it back out, and it's completely unconscious. I'm becoming more conscious of it, but I'll go draw that out. Yeah, I can see if I can get that out of my being. But if we've been doing all these things, I think we just need to encourage ourselves to say, oh, great, I've been doing all this, and now I've got to understand, the M-Stra molecule and the gem star body and the genius of the planet and how it interacts with, the essential sonatoma of the, and nine other, high science sacred terms. I would say, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Do not worry about it. Just let it flow in. It is setting for us a frame of understanding of the evolution that we have been working on for years, of the growth we've made, of the how close we are as individuals and as humanity, as a human family, to this transition. And yeah, if we leave the planet before it happens, reincarnate, whatever, as Lord Krishna says in the Gita, we are reborn with that momentum of that seeking and that growing. And, we are reborn again into the house of the good and the great. We may even be reborn into a family of yogis where the light of yoga shines, but it is a rare event to be born in such a family in this world. But the good news is, that we're getting there. And the fact that we're sitting here together listening to this is encouraging.
Well, and
So we're on the way.
Toth is prompting me to say something here, address a little more of what you asked earlier, because I got into the physical part. He's saying that the M-Stra molecule has an intelligence field that is especially supernal. Now, everything in us, even the hair on our head, has a certain is part, woven into an intelligence field of some, universally. It just is, or everything couldn't operate as it did. But the M-Stra molecule has what he's calling a supernal intelligence field. It isn't in itself the God particle, but it contains the God particle. And the God particle is the energy of the tetrahedron. Well, I can't, never mind. I'm not going to go into that. But it is the envelope for that. So it is very sacred. It is the sacred molecule. This means that as a God particle, it is very sensitive to you and your higher communication, not your lower communication. Is not going to deal with that. You can find other parts of your being that's going to sit there and say, okay, now what seems to be the problem? But the God particle is not concerned with that because it's doing its job. It's doing its God job. And that is to say, you fill me with your divine spark, and I will fill you with my divine spark. And so communicating with it in that way, touching upon it, opening yourself to that field that is within you is, you don't have to go through a million practices. I'm not saying that there aren't some disciplines that I don't know about, that could maybe, facilitate that greatly. I'm just saying that even without that, you can set up a communication in your holy self, in your prayers, in your meditations, in your desire, the pureness of desire, the desire of the spirit. It will answer that calling. So that's what I received from Thoth just now. I don't have it written down anywhere, but there it is.
Well, it's recorded now, and it'll be out on the World Wide Web here on our YouTube. And it reminds me of what the beautiful soul monk at Hollywood Temple of Self-Realization Fellowship, Brother Bhaktananda, used to say to us, when you are, there's a simple thing that all of us can do, as you were describing, these simple steps we can all take to, if you are going to tune in a simple way, to take a simple devotional phrase, a phrase of communion that touches your heart, such as, I love you, Lord, or, thou and I are one, fill me with thy love, I am thine, and to say it from the heart. This is all about activating our hearts in the end. And he encourages us to visualize the heart itself as having a mouth, and that you are saying these words literally from the heart chakra, with the mouth of the heart, expressing that love, that communion, thou and I are one. Thou and I are one. See that the mouth of the heart is saying that. Something as simple as that, can be very powerful and can carry you through the day. And yeah, the day is still going to have its challenges and upsets. It's not turning the world into a paradise like that. But anyway, I felt prompted to share that.
Yes, thank you, Michael. And I want to talk a little bit about now the next video that's going to lead us out. We're not going to come back after this. It's going to be our farewell video. It's 11 minutes long, and the material was received by me in 1993. I say material, it's a prayer. It was more than a prayer. It's a dedication. It's an affirmation. It's a summoning, a lot to it. And I felt guided, thothically wise, to end this show with this video, because it is part of summoning the M-Stra Molecule. It definitely is. And so it's something you can listen to again and again. And in fact, I will probably, I put it in there. I might change the link before this is put up there, Michael, because I want to put it on a separate page so that one can click on the prayer itself and actually have the text to it. So you have the, what do I call them? I can't even think of the word now, feeling of it through the video. It gives you the
activational video.
There it is, activation, the activation. Yeah. And then, but you also have the prayer written. So I think I will change we put it up. So
okay, well, just everybody can look for those links. They'll be, below this video. We'll have both the written prayer and the activational video that you're about to see. And of course, please also like and subscribe. That helps in terms of the system and how it works to get the program here out to more people. And so with that, I think we're ready to let you see the prayer of the temple graces.
But right? I'm going to say that the link I'm going to provide you with will be to the video embedded on a page that also has the text. So you'll have one.
Right. So you'll get to see it now. And then you will also be able to go to a link that has the written prayer of the temple graces. And again, this is heart activation of the divine M-Stra molecule in the human being.
It is. And after that, just for 1.5 minutes or however long, is my little video about my portal, because I just, want you guys to know about it. And if you've seen it before, you can turn it off.
Sure, yeah, because that's important. That is the portal to a wealth of material, and we want to encourage everybody, if you feel drawn to it, please, go check it out. So now the prayer of the temple graces. Thanks for joining us, everyone, and we'll see you next time on Blue Star Rising.
we gather unto the circle of the foursquare stone. It is meted from the talisman of our blood fire. From the cup of the sapphire we doth pour our aether of spirit unto the sepulchre of holy order. The Trinity mantle of Isis, Sophia, Johanna is secure upon us, so that we may beseech the grace of her blessings in this occasion of reverence. We stand unadorned in the light of the cosmic Christ, received fully upon the sword of his splendor. May we be revealed in the time spirit of our birth and destiny, that we shall fulfill our templaric service upon the earth. We now affirm the following graces. Enter Hierophant, from the gate of the wheel. Reinstate in us the power to deflect illusion. Give us the sight of the unborn, that we may know the true face of divine countenance in all ways and at all times. Through the eyes of the Sphinx, this gate is opened to us. Hosanna, Hosanna, Hosanna. Enter Hierophant, from the gate of the star. Make way our path through eternity as a bridge of quickening light, that we shall become the vessels for those masters of time who guardian the lighthouse of man. We are raised from our tombs of mind to the limitless passage of life. Through the spiritual strength of the centaur, this gate is open to us. The records of timekeepers are revealed to our hearts. Hosanna, Hosanna, Hosanna. Enter Hierophant from the Lion Gate. Impress the logos of mind upon our anointed foreheads. We seek thy mediation with divine form, inscripted into the terrestrial manifest of our world. In us do we become creation through the breadth of the sun and the depth of the moon, the two conjoined in expansion and contraction, a sacred atom in the heart of our most holy spaces. Hosanna, Hosanna, Hosanna. Enter Hierophant from the gate of the Thunder Being. We embrace through thy command the metaform of pure gem activation. It is exploded as starbursts in the cellular crystals of our bodies. We rush toward the fire opal of omnipotence, our matter transcending its mortal flight from grace to become pure gold pouring from the lip of the brazen chalice, forged by the struggle of good and evil among the archangelic hierarchies. Behold, revealed is the guardian of this gate, and the guardian is man. Hosanna, Hosanna, Hosanna. Enter Hierophant from the gate of Isis, she who is the mother of the world. Hold open the veil that we, her children, may be surrounded in her many-colored robes of birth. May we complete her mystery on earth. May we ascend to her glory as she is crowned Mother of the Sun King in the sanctified vault of the universe. She breaks open our shell to reveal the pearl within. As her dove of light lifts us winged upward, so we find the resolution of all futility as a final thought flung into the void. Hewe, Ortis, Leon Om Sais. And so it is.